Hey everyone, my name is Amber. Welcome to my channel, Amber Reads Romance. Forgive my voice, it's kind of, I'm losing it right now. I just finished filming, but I needed to start this vlog. I just randomly decided to start this today because I am finally doing it, everybody. I'm finally doing it. I am reading Manacled. This was one of my goals from 2024. Yet we are almost in October here and I still haven't read it. So I am reading it and I thought right now was the perfect time because it was the romance readathon right now. And it's a large page count. So I am finally reading Manacled. And as I was listening to it because I'm reading it, but I'm also listening to that podcast type of thing that they have available of the audiobook on Spotify. That is really well done too. So I was listening to that while I was cleaning the house yesterday. So I got about like 30% through. So I want to kind of I just decided let's vlog this because I have a feeling this book is going to put me through it. It already is, and I'm already hooked. So let's go ahead and dive into this vlog. Okay, everyone. So, all right, I started Manacled, and everybody that has ranted and they've raved about this. It's one of the most highly hyped type of fanfics that there is. So I was very intimidated to read it, but at the same time, I think I was more intimidated due to the size and just like, would I get through it? But I'm honestly like, it's moving pretty quickly for how large it is. And it really has hooked me. And I think it's so well done already. And the way it's set up, I already knew that it was going to be the perfect fanfic for me because I love Hermione and I love dark romance. And this just pairs those two so perfectly. Hold on, let me take a drink because my throat is killing me. Okay, sorry about that, you guys. My throat is feeling it right now. So anyways, if you don't know Manacled, I mean, there's some of you out there who haven't read it like me, but I'm sure you've heard about it. And this is kind of like a Hermione, but like Handmaid's Tale type of vibes. In this, it is set as if Voldemort won. Harry, Ron, like all of Hermione's friends are dead. Voldemort has won the war. But things are not good with the population going on. He needs to populate, you know, kind of do a repopulation effort. And he was all about purebloods, but sorry. He was all about purebloods, but they're having issues with those pregnancies. And so now they're kind of pairing up, even like the mudbloods with, you know, the purebloods to have babies. And these are these kind of Handmaid's Tale type of thing where they're kind of set up to be a breeder for them, no matter if they want to or not. And so what ends up happening is Hermione has been she's been locked in like a prison after this war. She has basically been kind of tortured and sensory deprivation and all of that kind of stuff. Umbridge was basically taking out all her hate on Hermione, and not to the Voldemort or what he would want, because he wanted her kept intact. And now her brain, like she has shut off blocked a lot of memories. So she doesn't remember a lot of the war, a lot of what happened. And so they need those memories from her. But also she fits into this, you know, Handmaid's Tale type of thing where she can be set up to have a baby, and it will be easier once she gets pregnant and who she's pregnant by for them to be able to get the memories from her. And so, because they're trying and they can't get through to them. So she did something where she's blocked these memories. So she basically kind of gets offered up. At first, like, Voldemort wants Snape to have her, and Snape's like, well, I have that mission. It's really important. I can't be doing that right now. And so he ends up giving her to Draco, who is his kind of like right-hand man that was like, would wear a mask. And he's like this, I mean, major killer. Like, he's kind of been responsible for a lot of Hermione's friends' deaths. And now she's given over to him and his wife to have him get her pregnant. And he's not the Draco from school that she remembered. He's very powerful. He's very cold and stoic, and he has to get her pregnant and then keep working through her to try and get those memories and find out what she's holding back, you know, against the rebellion or any of that. And Voldemort wants that info, and he wants it bad. And so Draco is kind of forced in the situation too with her, and there is assault. Like, he basically rapes her. And he makes it very cold in the beginning, where she just like has to bend over a table, and she's just like, she's going through it. Like, there's a lot of dark stuff in this book so far. And she, you know, eventually, like, he has to like take care of her mentally as well, because she has a lot of PTSD from the sensor deprivation and being locked in, where she's scared of open spaces. So he has to like go with her outside. They have walks together. He's kind of spending time with her. And so, like, slowly, like, you kind of have this Stockholm syndrome type of thing going on, because she's been so lonely. And even with her friends, she was kind of cut off from them, because she became a healer in the war while they were all like kind of fighting in the war. And you kind of find from flashbacks that she was kind of pushing for them to use dark arts too, to fight fire with fire. And no, Harry did not want that to happen. And so you kind of get the vibe that Hermione was willing to do whatever it took to win the war. But she wasn't like seen as the same as them with like her healing, and she was focusing on that. She was close with Snape because, you know, he was part of the Order too at that time. And so, and in this, you actually had it where it's different from the movies, where Draco had actually killed Dumbledore. So he was responsible for that death. So, but since she's so lonely and cut off, that like any of him being decent to her is, she sees as nice. She starts to kind of connect with him. And they're having problems getting pregnant. It's not happening fast enough for them. And so the chick that's running this program, like at one point she even gives her like this potion that she didn't know what it was. It was like, she thought it was help to get them pregnant. And it was kind of like an aphrodisiac that got her like all lusty and into it. And so, and the lady basically said, you can't keep doing it from behind on the table anymore. You need to make it more intimate, because this is a magical pregnancy. There's more at stake here. So they have to start actually doing like missionary face-to-face. And in this, like, Draco, when he realized she took that potion, she got hot for it. He was so horrified. And he was having a hard time having sex with her, like, because it's against her will. And then her body's betraying her. And you could tell, like, this is brutal for him, that he, like, went and threw up after that sex scene, because he, like, doesn't want to rape her. So you don't really know what Draco's motivations are, but you start to slightly see under his facade. At one point he was, like, drunk and kind of felt like he came to her and was, like, kissing her and stuff. But then he turns around on her and is just so mean to her and calls her pathetic, that she's like enjoying him or wanting him. And so it's just this tough thing where you feel like he's doing that on purpose to make her hate him, maybe. Or maybe that's just me wanting to love Draco any way that I can. But she does end up finally getting pregnant. And with the pregnancy, she is going through so much pain with her head. She's not able to keep anything down. So this is a very risky pregnancy. And Draco's doing a lot of caretaking and trying to make sure she's okay. She's devastated. She's like, don't hurt this baby, whatever you do. Like, don't give it to your wife because the wife is very jealous of Hermione. So, and she ends up kind of having a seizure at one point. And she, oh my God, there was one scene where after he was like brutal to her, before I think she found out she was pregnant, but like when he was so mean to her and called her pathetic, and for her like kissing and like enjoying the kiss, she like starts bashing her head against the window to try to hurt herself. So that was like really tough. So there's a lot of dark stuff in this. And then we get to the point where she actually is remembering things. So she's slowly remembering things throughout this. And then now I got to the point where it's the flashbacks. So I'm about 30% in, and we start to get flashbacks to during the war where she's doing the healing. She's kind of at odds with Harry and Ron because she wants to do things that they're not willing to do. And then Mad-Eye, he comes to her with like a deal because Draco is willing to be kind of a double spy, you know, kind of spy and help them. But he wants Hermione during and after the war. And so he says he did have Snape did confirm he had like a fascination with you, but we don't really know what. And you know what this will entail. And so she's doesn't care. She's willing to do whatever it takes to win this war. And so she agrees to meet up with Malfoy, and he starts to teach her, I can't remember what it's called, but you know, to block people from getting into your memory into your mind, because Voldemort will do that and be able to figure out what they're doing together. And so he's kind of slightly training her with that. And they've had some kissing scenes. So it's very interesting. She doesn't really know what Draco wants because he doesn't seem super into her, but she doesn't know. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. And she is about to start getting trained by Draco because he's like, you haven't had training for years in like defense against dark arts type of thing. You need to be trained for what you're doing and all of that kind of stuff. So far, I'm enjoying it. It's definitely dark. I'm hooked. Unfortunately, I have to read an ALC by a certain date. So I got to get that done. Otherwise, I'd keep going with this. But I might be going in between those two. But I'm really hooked. It's super dark. I'm fascinated. So we'll see how it goes. So I will check back in with you a little bit later, and we'll see how I'm feeling because I have a bunch more flashbacks to go through, and I'm very interested to see what happened between her and Draco because I feel like there's a lot more history between them than we know. Okay, see you guys in a bit. Hey guys, so I am back with a check-in. Honestly, I'm looking really not great right now, but I was trying to wait to do a check-in until I got through all the flashbacks, and there was a lot of flashbacks. So I think I'm about like 75% in now. So I mean, I think it went from like 30% to 75 of like, that's how many flashbacks there were. So and I was trying to read some when I got home from work, and I think I got home like around maybe 6, and I just looked at the time and it was like 8:50. I haven't eaten dinner. I haven't gotten the shower. I haven't done anything yet. I just got sucked in. So, if you can't tell, like this fanfic is sucked me in. I'm so into it. Sorry for the appearance right now, but I really wanted to just get this check-in done. That way I can make my dinner and take a shower and stuff and get ready for bed. But there's a lot that happens in these flashbacks. We get to learn everything that went on during the war. You get more about kind of Hermione and her headspace during the war. She was a healer. She's not really close to Ron and Harry anymore because she's more focused on the healing and she's willing to do whatever it takes. They are too, but she's literally bringing up using like dark arts and like, if they're going to kill us, we should be able to do that too. And nobody agrees with her. So she's kind of had this barrier between her and her friends where it's not the three of them anymore. And then she basically gets offered up to kind of like the order basically kind of like sells her off to be Draco's whore. And Draco had said he would be a spy and help give them information from Lord, Voldemort. But he wanted Hermione or whatever, which was kind of weird. She was like, I don't know what his deal is because he was never into me in school. He hated me. We didn't even talk. So she was kind of suspicious of it, but she was willing to do whatever it took to, win this war. So they end up meeting. This is a very slow burn and very, like, so many chapters building this relationship between them because they would meet like weekly. He would give her information. She would kind of hang out with him. I mean, they kissed a couple times. It was kind of like a power play, just Draco fucking with her. And then he kind of sees, she hasn't been, practicing her magic except for healing. So she needs help with dueling and protecting herself. And so he's kind of like, what the hell is with these people? They've totally like let you go, but also like take advantage of you. So they kind of slowly build like a friendship. But he knows she's like basically using him and gonna try and manipulate him by getting him to want her, and and she doesn't know what he's really up to. So it's kind of a really tough dynamic. But they slowly build like this friendship, and Draco does get into her. Like, he is interested. And so eventually they do have sex, and he's like pissed afterwards because he's like, you won, like you got me, and it's exactly what you wanted. Because she also is getting pressure. Oh, another big thing was Draco had these horrible, like horrific runes that were like on his back, like carved into his back all the way to the bone with like dark magic by Voldemort to kind of like control him, and it would slowly have killed him. And so Hermione, on all these weekly like visits, she was slowly healing him, trying to help him with that. She ended up having this stone that was almost like the Sorcerer's Stone, where I think she got it in Egypt. And she literally, it's this magical stone that she literally put in Draco's heart when he was like out, so he didn't know, to help save his soul and like keep him alive. So that was kind of supposed to be used for Harry one day, and she's so like just wanted to save Draco that she used it on him. And when like Severus and like that they all like find out, like kind of they're like, you're compromised, you care about him too much, and they're like, if you don't get results within like a month, we're gonna like ruin his cover and do what we gotta do. And so she's very worried about that. So when they finally have sex and everything, she's like, okay. And he's kind of hooked at that point, even though they have like these times of periods where he's pushing her away. He'll be quiet. He'll kind of be a dick. But really he's just very possessive and does want her now. And so he even does like, the vow thing with them where he won't betray the order. And so now they know that he can't do that. And so it's just this very slow build between them, and Draco becomes very possessive and like protective of her, and he doesn't want her putting herself in danger, and he gets very upset. When she like almost died at one point, and there was like this battle, and she was healing everybody, and one of the main like head guys came back, and he had like a curse on him where he was gonna die, and so she went to go heal him, but he apparated to like the battle, and she ended up going with him. And so they were like, you can't be out here, especially with her being like the secret thing with Draco, because only a couple people know that she's doing this stuff with Draco. They're like, you have to be protected because your role is much more important. And so as she's like trying to get out of there, it got one of the Death Eaters, they do a curse at her, and it was like this acid thing, and it was like wearing her down, and she had also gotten bit by a vampire, so she was like still healing other people while she was like about to die. And I love this because Creature, one of the elves, is like noticed that she was not doing well and still working, and he literally grabbed her and took her to Draco. So Draco had kind of used Creature because Creature was like loyal to the Blacks, and that was like his family, his mother's side. And so Creature's been spying on them too. So he basically gets Creature, takes her there so that he can heal her. So all these things are going on where they're just getting so close. Like they're falling in love with each other. They talk about like what can they run away together. Another thing that made them suspicious of Draco is you could tell that he's been trying to find a way to remove the mark from him, from Voldemort. And there's like, you can't really remove it without dying. So he's been trying for years to try and figure out how to do that. So you're also going, okay, well, Draco's done a lot of bad things. He killed Dumbledore. He's killed a lot of people. But you learn that he had to do that to protect his mom. Like his Voldemort was like torturing his mother, had her in a cage, would do the Crucio curse. And so like he had to do things to protect his mom and then move up in Voldemort's, ranks so that he could eventually, get revenge. Also, he wanted revenge because of his mother. He was never really into Hermione, but he kind of like told them, yeah, I'm into Hermione. I've been obsessed with her, to kind of give them a reason of why he wants to do this, when really he just wants revenge, and he was going after kind of Voldemort and trying to bring them down. Eventually, like, he is obsessed with Hermione, and he doesn't really care about the Order. He doesn't really care about anything, but he wants her protected, and he wants her safe. And so, like, you find there's a lot going on. I could go on and on. It's so much. But, like, there were so many sweet, tender, like, moments between her and Draco. And so it's so different from seeing what we had to watch in the beginning. And then to kind of put in perspective where Draco had fallen in love with her and wanted to protect her. And then he was forced to basically assault her in the beginning of this book. So it really, like, it's crazy. So, like, eventually we do get to the end battle where Hermione, right when they're, like, setting up this type of bomb to get to Hogwarts, to try and get to one of these Horcruxes, they're trying to get Voldemort to show up with Nagini, his snake that's also a Horcrux. And so all this is going on, and Hermione finally, like, kind of realizes and gets told about, she figures out that Harry is a Horcrux. And so she has to go and tell him. And he was kind of like, I knew I had to die today. Like, and he was like, take care of Ginny. And that's another thing. Ginny's pregnant with Harry's baby, but she didn't want to stress Harry out. So she was pretending to have some illness where she was like quarantined because she didn't want to put more pressure on him with him having a baby. And so Hermione had told him about, like, no, you have a son, you're going to have a son, she's pregnant. And he was like, well, take care of them. Just promise me to always take care of Ginny. And then, of course, he goes out and he gets killed by Voldemort. And Voldemort, like, does the killing curse on him, like, 6 or 7 times. Attacks Ron. Like, basically, everything goes to shit. And he, Neville does kill Nagini, but it didn't kill Voldemort. So we know there's another Horcrux out there. So Hermione is like trying to get back to warn people. She was trying to, she wants to get Ginny because she needs to protect her and get her safe. So Draco basically agrees to go break her out of like this prison hospital area. But Hermione has to promise to leave and be safe. And so she does. But when he does that, he ruins his cover, and so he knows he's gonna die, and she just can't handle that. So she gets Severus to come help them, and she kind of tricks Draco and manages to go back to that hospital and had created more bombs and basically blew up that hospital, which had, a lot of people that were already dying basically and suffering from curses, and then all the people that are like fucked up in there. But she ends up getting captured when all this goes down. I mean, I'm really summing things up quickly because this is a lot of pages of content, but when she gets captured, she just starts to freak out because they're like, Voldemort wants her intact because he'll want to interrogate her. And so she knows she's going to be fucked, and Draco will be like all her memories and things with Draco. So she starts to compartmentalize that and is like putting it in the back of her mind. And then you see her basically get locked up where she's like, they make it so she can't talk, and she's got magic, you know, cuffs on, and she's in a dark cell. And I think that goes on for like a few years. So, poor Draco, like, he just wanted to protect her and get her out of there. I'm hoping Snape does something too to help out on the end of this, because Snape is like one of my favorite characters in Harry Potter. I cry every time when it's revealed what he did, like in his love for Lily and how he was actually trying to help Harry this whole time. But anyways, that's the movies and the real books. But this fanfic is amazing. It's crazy. I was getting emotional, like, you know, seeing all the characters die. It's brutal. Like, they're brutally tortured. They have them like hanging up above Hogwarts and like pieces, and like, it's just freaking brutal. So anyways, I've already talked for like 13 minutes. So I tried to sum up that, but basically my big takeaway here is it was a really nice slow burn to kind of show Draco and Hermione like falling in love with each other and like being really depending on each other, wanting to be together, but knowing like they're living in a time of war, and like it's just so hopeless. And Hermione's very factual and strategic, and she thinks through things logically. So she's not like them where they're like, oh, the good guys win or whatever. She's being very realistic about their options. So, and her and Draco, you know, like, they're just so, I just love them together. This is why I love Hermione so much. And I love seeing a softer side to Draco, but this Draco has had to do some really bad stuff. So anyways, I'm still going, but I'm loving this. I'm getting the hype. So now I need to make dinner, take a shower, and then I probably will continue reading tonight. I'm hoping I can finish it tonight, and then I'll give you guys an update on my final thoughts. But it's fantastic so far. So anyways, thanks you guys for staying with me on this, and I will check in with you once I finish it. Hey guys, so I am here with my final check-in. I finally finished Manacled. I just finished it at work today. It did take me longer than I was expecting it to, but I absolutely loved it. I absolutely get the hype around this fanfic. I do think it's the best fanfic I've probably ever read. I haven't read a ton, but I absolutely loved it. I gotta say that I was so impressed with the writing. I think it's so well done, like just as good as best-selling authors out there. She really took the time to build the characters, show character development. You get to really see this long and arduous and like tough, heartbreaking journey that Hermione and Draco go through. And I just think it was really well done, like very well crafted. You really got to know the characters, really felt them fall in love with each other when they are in the flashbacks. And so it really builds on their relationship and kind of makes it even more devastating when Hermione wakes up from all those flashbacks, remembers everything, and now she has to contend with the fact that Draco, the man she fell in love with during war, had to rape her. And I mean, he was forced to do this. He had to do it because Voldemort would go into their brains, you know, to dive into their brains to look at their memories and stuff. So there was no way that he could have gotten away with not doing it. But when she comes to, you know, and she has to work through those emotions, she has severe PTSD, major panic attacks. Again, she has trouble going outside. She has a really tough pregnancy, plus with all the stuff that her brain is going on, she's in agony. And she had a seizure. So like Draco is just so worried about her. And she discovers that it was his plan all along with Snape to basically get her out of there. They were just waiting for the right opportunity for when like Snape was coming back or whatever. And they were going to remove the manacles and then get her out of there. But when they remove the manacles, like, they will know instantly, and Draco will be killed, tortured, probably killed. And he's resigned himself to this. He's given up. He's tried to remove the mark for years. It's kind of an impossible task. And so he's basically given up, and he just wants to save Hermione, and she does not want to live without him. And it's this constant push and pull of her trying to look into this, researching it, doing a lot of trauma to herself, stressing out about this. And Draco's just like, you need to move on. Like, and then it ends up getting crazier because Snape ends up getting killed. But he's like, I'm still getting you out. Like, I don't care. So there's a point in this where like Lucius comes to stay in the house, which is even like more scary for her because he's kind of like chaotic and like they can't really control him. Like, he's pretty horrible. But he absolutely loved his wife. So that's kind of like this Malfoy thing, is being very possessive and obsessed with their woman. And Draco is very much a touch her and you die. He hates everyone but her. Those kind of tropes are definitely Draco. Like, he loves Hermione. And she really struggles because he's done awful things. He's killed so many people, you know, and he has to live with that, but she does too. But she also feels a lot of guilt because he's done things in order to protect her, and she thinks she's like made him even worse than he was already being. But so that's a lot of the complication thing, is them trying to figure out her trying to see if she can get rid of this mark. He's tried cutting off a Death Eater's arm in the past to see if you could do it, and the guy didn't make it because the mark is like blood and it's like deep in the blood, and so like it's a lot to try and figure out. Eventually Hermione does come up with something because of course it's Hermione, she's our genius. And she also discovers that he didn't really kill Ginny, which she thought he had killed Ginny. He got her away. And, you know, he's been checking on her. Her and Harry's son are fine. So the plan was to get her out and get her to Hermione. So anyways, I'm already going into too much at the end of this. But what I will say is this last part of the book is really them trying to figure out how they can get away and be together. And then once they do that, how do they survive? Like, they've literally lived their lives for their mission, and Draco's only been a soldier. He's like, and he's so anxious about protecting her and keeping her safe. And I mean, it's a lot of pressure. And like, you know, they end up leaving things in the air with Voldemort, where he's still out there. There's still Death Eaters. They're still in power, and they escape. So it's like, how do you live in like hiding like that? And so I really liked the way it was handled. I thought it tackled some really emotional stuff. I loved seeing her with Ginny again, and Ginny like apologizing for not taking what Hermione said they needed to do seriously, and how Hermione was right and they didn't listen to her. And Ginny has to come to terms with the fact that Hermione is a ride or die for Draco, and she doesn't get it. But Hermione sets her straight every fucking time, and I loved it. Like, she doesn't let anybody else get in her head about how she should feel about Draco. She don't care. He's the love of her life. There's so many intimate, beautiful moments between them. And it's like, you know, you can see the softer sides of Draco that he can't show anyone else. And I just love them together. One of the most emotional parts to me was when she does have their baby, and Draco's like afraid to touch it or look at it, and he's like, I kill everything I touch, you know, like I've killed babies, like I've killed kids. And so he, you know, is scared to get close to his daughter or even touch her. And Hermione's just like, bullshit, get over here. I told you. She even made him promise, because she could tell he was distancing himself during her pregnancy. Like, you need to love her. because if something happens to me, because she still has a lot of memory issues because Lucius went into her mind and fucked it up even more. She's like, you know, like, I need you to be there for her and you need to love her so you're not going to be just like your father. And so when he finally does touch his daughter and look at her, he has that Malfoy possessive, loving look. And it's just beautiful because it extends years and years after this to show them through the years. And I just really loved it. And I did love the way they ended the whole Voldemort thing. I thought that was very interesting. So this is so fantastic. I think it is very long, but I think it's like, honestly, if you split it up into the 3 parts, it's really perfect because you get that amazing character growth and the journey of them and really seeing them fall in love in a time where it was pointless and hopeless and they didn't think they could ever be together. And I just love them, you guys. I love them. So I highly recommend Manacled. If you haven't already read it, I'm going to give it 6 stars. I was actually reading that scene with him and his daughter when she was born at work today, and I started to cry. So I was like, I can't be doing this at work right now at my desk. But it was fantastic. So I am so excited. I'm so happy I finally read it. This is a big page count for the Romance Readathon for me too. By the time I post this, it's going to be done with the Romance Readathon and everything, but I did want to vlog this because it's been my biggest goal this year to read it. So I'm so happy I finally did it, and it was excellent. So anyways, I've talked and talked. I could keep talking, but just know, beautiful, romantic, moving, slow burn, very intimate. I loved it. So, and I mean, it does have the dark elements and stuff in it, and you have to watch your beloved characters die brutally and be tortured. But I think the relationship between Draco and Hermione is just so special. Anyways, I'm still going. So thank you so much for watching this. If you can, please hit that subscribe button. Make sure you leave me a like this video, and give me a comment. Let me know if you've read Manacled, if you plan on reading Manacled. I know Jen from the Book Refuge is going to be doing a fanfic readathon, but I think it got delayed because of a lot going on for her. So hopefully that'll be coming up soon because I really want to do that. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys on the next one.